Shabbat Shalom, friends, and welcome to Congregation Kol Ami in West Hollywood, California. I'm Rabbi Denise Egger, and that was Lisa Edwards, our accompanist, with a version of Dodie Lee from the Song of Songs. Of course, this Shabbat is right before Passover, and on Passover we read from the Song of Songs. So tonight our service will not only celebrate Shabbat together, we'll prepare for tomorrow night and Sunday and the week ahead as we celebrate our liberation from slavery and our move towards freedom, and thank God for all that God has done for us. So we welcome you. We welcome Alana Rabishaw, our student rabbi, who will be with us, and Peter Mackler, who is sponsoring tonight's service in memory of his father, Sam Mackler, whose yahrzeit occurs this week. And we're glad to welcome each and every one of you. If you've been with us before, you know we use the Reform Movement prayer book with Mishkan Tefillah. If you'd like to follow along in a flipbook free version online, go to ccarpress.org, and you can find in the coronavirus resources there a flipbook version, and we'll call out the pages for all of those numbers. So right now we're going to welcome Shabbat with more music. Page 130, we're going to sing from the Psalms as we sing together Lechuna Ranana, psalm for this Shabbat. If you'll join with me. Lechuna Ranana, Yishenu, let us sing out to God, maker of all, sure and strong, from all of creation, from mountain to sea, hear our song. Let us welcome Shabbat with the lighting of Shabbat candles. And if Peter, if you will do that for us, we're turning to page 120 and 121 in our prayer books.
Thank you, Rabbi. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahalik ner shel Shabbat. Amen.
Amen.
We haven't sung this version of the candle blessing in a while at Kol Ami, so for those of you that were regular attenders pre-COVID, you will remember this. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת Blessed are you who commands us to kindle the light of Shabbat. And now wherever you are, if you have a cup of wine or grape juice and want to help us make Kiddush together, page 123, we join in celebration of the Sabbath day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagofen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh Zecher letziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta V'yotanu kidashta Mikol amim V'shabbat kodshecha V'ahava uvratzon Hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh Shabbat L'chaim. That's a good preparation for tomorrow night, and at least 4 cups that we will celebrate together and join in as we go through our Passover Seder. We welcome Shabbat tonight. There's a tradition that teaches us that the angels of peace come to every home to see if the Shabbat candles have been lit by a family. And there's a good angel and a bad angel, the tradition teaches. And if you light your Shabbat candles, the bad angel, so to speak, is supposed to offer a blessing. And if you haven't, the good angel offers a blessing that you will light your candles the coming week ahead. Well, this weekend, because it's also a holiday, not only do you have a chance to light your candles tonight, but also your Yontiv, your festival candles tomorrow night, and for those that observe 2 nights, of course, on Sunday night. So let us sing to the angels of peace. Let us come to visit our homes, to bless us and to bless our communities with peace and hope and pray as we sing Shalom Aleichem together. Page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bochem L'Shalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malchei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. שובכם לשלום, מלכי השלום, מלכי עליון, מי המלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם, שלום עליכם, מלכי השרת, מלכי עליון, מי מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
As is our tradition at Congregation Kol Ami, we take this time to welcome one another to say Shabbat Shalom. Maybe send a text, maybe do as Peter's doing and send a picture of your candles to someone you love and say Shabbat Shalom, I'm thinking of you. Or of course, you can always write on the Facebook chat or on YouTube. Before services, we, Rabbi Egger, Peter, and I mentioned how we like daylight savings time, how it's a little disorienting that it is still light outside, but that it brings a different energy than when it is dark at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the evening. And it reminds me that my very, very favorite piece of liturgy of our Jewish text is coming up in our ritual cycle. During Passover, we switch from asking God for rain to asking God for dew during the Amidah. And during Passover, that's when we make the shift from winter to summer. And thinking about winter to summer, day to night, it's a moment to appreciate the nature around us and a moment to appreciate all that we have in this earth and to thank God for the wonders of creation and for the people around us. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. You'll join me for Shema. We'll take a breath and bring in Shema together to chant. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
We join together as we chant the V'ahavta prayer. Page in your prayer book, you can turn to page 154. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, be'shiftecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha b'derech, uv'shochbecha, uv'kumecha, u'kshartam leot ayadecha, v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha, u'ktavtam, amazuzot beitecha, uv'isharecha, leman tizkeru v'asitem, eko mitzvotai, v'item kedoshim le'elohechem, Ahani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Amen. Well, tomorrow night at your Seders, you will, of course, drink. We mentioned the 4 cups of wine. We will ask 4 questions to help us begin the story, the Magid, the story of our ancestors' sojourn, of how they went down to Egypt. But then a new Pharaoh arose that knew not Joseph, as the book of Exodus begins. And there began what our tradition teaches is 400 years of enslavement to a cruel and Pharaoh who was indifferent to human suffering, indifferent to cruelty. The Passover story that we will reenact at our tables tomorrow night by dipping the greens into the salty waters of the tears of our slavery, or as some say, the salt water of the Red Sea that we crossed into freedom with, remind us that this journey is a constant journey. A journey of liberation doesn't just happen at one moment in one place, but is happening all the time. This sacred memory that we will reenact tomorrow night, we actually sing about each and every time we gather in prayer, as we remember the freedom that the children of Israel felt when they were redeemed from slavery in Egypt. And so as we join together to sing the Micha Mocha, the words from the book of Exodus, from Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea that Moses wrote in celebration after the crossing of the Red Sea, we turn to page 158. And it's customary right before and during a holidays to sing this melody to the tune of that holiday, to the Nusach. So tonight we sing Micha Mocha to the Passover Nusach, which I'm sure you'll recognize perhaps as one of the songs of the Seder Adirhu. Micha Mocha Ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha Nedar B'Kodesh, Nora Tehilot Osef Bele, Malchut Techara Uvanecha, Bokeya Yam Lifnei Moshe Miriam, Ze Elianu V'amru, Ze Elianu V'ameru, Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Va'ed.
As we celebrate this time of our freedom, we still take time to ask God for protection in our Hashkivenu prayer, which can be found on page 160. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up, O guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
We take time now to remember the holiness of this Sabbath day as we sing together the words from the book of Exodus, Vishamru, page 162. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. As we prepare to have time for reflection, time for the traditional tefillah, we turn our hearts together, we link ourselves as one, as we sing on 164. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tilatecha. We continue with silent prayer, reflection, or the words of tradition through page 181. יהיו לרצון אמרי פיו, והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי וגואלי, אדוני צורי וגואלי. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Yehyu והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי וגואלי, אדוני צורי וגואלי.
We now take some time to think of those who are in need of a healing of body, of mind, of spirit. We keep in mind all of those who perhaps don't have a Seder to go to tomorrow, whether it is for COVID-related reasons or otherwise. And we think of all of those who are alone this holiday season, who are suffering in silence. And this Shabbat in particular, Congregation Kol Ami is thinking of John Altschul, Harris David Auerbach, Sophie Bellsberg, Richard Bernard, Don Bernstein, Tim Bestenheiter, Dabby Blatt, Judy Brink, Bella Browning, Eddie Channon, Nada Chirina, Phyllis Ehrlich, Francine Epstein, Tino Felipe, Bruce French, Ephraim Ingerman, Jeffrey Lehman, Larry Mendelson, Jenna Peskin, Michael Rand, Tammy Rabowski, Ben Reback, Dora Rodas, Howard Romanoff, Evie Shore, Henry Sommerfeld, Rosina Spitzer, Ronald Stoner, Terry Taylor, Jessica Tyree, Juanita Warner, Alan Weisbart, Kathy Weiss, Eitan Wolf, and Ilana Miriam Batchava. O merciful one, we ask for a complete healing of body, of mind, of spirit to all of those in our hearts, in our community, on our Facebook chat, in the YouTube chat, and those who perhaps don't have anyone to say Misha Berach for them. We ask for strength for our caregivers and perseverance, and so that they can continue this marathon of work to bring a little bit more wholeness to our community and to our world. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofeh HaCholim.
We join together as we sing the Misha Berach. Misha Berach Avotenu Makor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Makor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. And let us say Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. In the days leading up to Passover, it is traditional to clean out your home of all chametz, all bread, all yeast, all similar grains, and anything else that makes bread rise. So that means no sourdough starter either. This might be a practice that you do out of tradition, out of a sense of obligation, or not at all. There really is no one way to prepare for Pesach. Cleaning out your kitchen, especially this year, might come into conflict with a personal value of wasting food, because who would take it? Faced with this dilemma, what would you choose? Passover is an opportunity for us all, as individuals and as a community, to celebrate freedom. When we sit down at our Seder table tomorrow and/or Sunday night, we will retell the story of how we were slaves in Egypt and how, with a mighty fist and an outstretched arm, God brought the Israelites into freedom. God said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh and tell him to let my people go so that they may serve me." Those last few words, "so that they may serve me," are often forgotten, I think in part because they're not in any of the catchy songs that we sing during this time of year. But it teaches us that freedom came at a price. It was only after the people of Israel left Egypt and began their journey through the desert that they received the Ten Commandments and other laws that would ultimately become the foundation on which the Israelites would create a sacred community. With our freedom, we are obligated to act, to honor our parents, to honor and keep Shabbat, to love our neighbor, to not harvest the corners of our land, to feed the hungry, to judge one another fairly, to be holy, because God is holy. However, Ramban, a 12th century rabbi, reminds us that even when we commit to following the laws in the Torah, that those 613 mitzvot are actually not comprehensive. For example, there is no mitzvah that says, "Do not cyberbully," or "wear a mask." Sure, we can use reasoning to infer that wearing a mask is in fact a positive commandment. However, in this week's Torah portion, Sav, the Torah tells us that God commanded the priests to wear a very specific outfit and literally told them when to change their clothes in the middle of a very detailed ritual. And everything that we do is detail oriented, even things that are seemingly simple. In his TED Talk on baking bread, baker Peter Reinhardt says that all things can be understood on 4 levels: the literal, the metaphoric, the poetic, the political, or the ethical. This is, in fact, also a rabbinic way of interpreting texts. It's called Pardes, which is a Hebrew acronym for those same 4 levels. Baking bread has clear steps that need to be followed, but Reinhardt reminds us that the physical bread itself is life-sustaining, as is the imagery of breaking bread together. Details make the ritual. It's why many people still use a spoon, a feather, and a candle to search their homes for chametz instead of their powerful vacuum cleaners. Cleaning is a mundane, monotonous part of life. When we create ritual, whether traditional or otherwise, we bring holiness into our lives and into the practice. Tomorrow, or actually, it might already be tomorrow in some places around the world, Jews, their friends, their families will all sit down at a Seder. At each table, they will tell the story of the Exodus and go through the ritual of the Seder in the exact same order as someone many time zones away. Children will search for the afikomen, and these details, the structure of the Seder, which literally translates to order, they provide us global boundaries and guidelines for observance, while still allowing families and communities to create their own customs. I think I even saw a Schitt's Creek Haggadah out there for those of you who want some pop culture. Passover is the most observed Jewish holiday. The ability to sit down at a Seder anywhere and feel comfortable and that the service itself is familiar is part of what I think makes a Seder so special. When cleaning out the bread from your home, there's another option besides throwing away your beloved sourdough starter. According to Jewish law, anything that is not kosher for Passover and not disposed of can be sold to a non-Jew. Even in a COVID world, this is still an option that necessitates relationships outside of our families, outside of our pods, outside of our religions, and sometimes even outside of our neighborhoods. Can you believe it? There's no law in the Torah that says to create community with people who think, believe, and live differently than you do, to treat them how you would treat a brother, a sister, a sibling, or a neighbor. However, it is a daily lesson that we can learn from our protagonist, Moses, even without such a detailed description. This lesson is taught through action. Moses grew up in an Egyptian palace and knew when he saw an Egyptian beating an Israelite slave that it was wrong. Moses' wife Zipporah was a Cushite, or an ancient Ethiopian, not an Israelite, and Moses created a family from outside of his neighborhood and outside of his people. Ultimately, Moses even sends the Israelites into the promised land, knowing that they were going to have to engage with Canaanites. Moses here sets an example for us all about how to welcome the stranger and live as part of a holy community each day, with laws as guideposts and a foundation, and the ability to recognize that life is more than just a list of instructions. The steps to baking bread are important, but it is just as important to share that bread with other people, reminding us that it is not just the process, but it's what we do with the finished product. The process to freedom was important, and now comes the opportunity to take action. As we enter this Shabbat Hagadol, let us celebrate our freedom by engaging in sacred acts with everyone. May details and explanation bring guidance to your Seder, while recognizing that there are always new ways of enriching ritual and living your values, not just with your community, but with your potential community members as well. Can you hear Ratzon? May it be God's will.
Thank you, Alana. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful way to enter into the holiday and to think about all of those ideas on Shabbat. It's always a privilege to welcome my friend and the chair of our board, Peter Mackler. Thank you, Peter, for sponsoring tonight's service in memory of your father, and invite you to share some words.
Thank you, Rabbi. And Yasher Koach, Elena, thank you very much. As Rabbi Egger says, my name is Peter Mackler, and I have the great honor and privilege of serving as chair of the board of trustees here at Congregation Kol Ami. And on behalf of our board, I'd like to welcome you to our online Shabbat service. Let me wish each and every one of you a Chag Sameach, a happy Passover. Let me share with you some of our upcoming events and activities. You can register each one of them online at our website for all of the upcoming programs. Immediately following our services tonight at 7:30, you are invited to a Zoom Oneg Shabbat. The link is on the front page of our website. On Sunday night, March 28th at 6:00 p.m. is our online second night Seder. Please sign up now to join in this amazing and wonderful community gathering. It is free, and our clergy will help us celebrate together. We have been together for a second night of Pesach ever since we became a community almost 30 years ago. There are two other great events during Pesach week. Tuesday evening, March 30th, please join Rabbi Chaikin for a sing-along online, Songs of Freedom. And then sponsored by our Gender Diversity Task Force, Kol Ami, observes Transgender Day of Visibility with guest Michaela Mendelson, founder of Trans Can Work, and she's the first trans member of the Trevor Foundation Board, and she's CEO of a chain of restaurants. You want to meet this incredible Jewish leader. And our first in-person gathering since October for the last day of Pesach, Saturday, April 3rd at 10 a.m., our Shabbat Yiska service, and we still have 9 open seats available. It will be on Zoom and on the stream, so there are 3 ways for you to access. And then beginning on Sunday, April 4th at 4:00 p.m., we have a 3-week class, Beyond the Binary. Come learn about the breadth of the LGBT community. What is non-binary or gender non-conforming as a gender identity? What does Judaism have to say about this? Come learn with each one of us. And of course, coming up at the end of April is our annual gala, this year honoring Stuart Leviton, Glenn Rosenblum, and Susan Igdaloff. Join us for a night of Broadway music and celebration, an amazing silent auction. Tickets and sponsorships are now available. This is an amazing online event. It is our biggest fundraiser of the year. And frankly, we really need your help. Please take an ad in our commemorative online journal celebrating our temple and our honorees, or you could donate to our silent auction. Check out the information or sign up to be a sponsor on our website and block out the date. It's on Saturday night, April 24th. To keep up to date on what is happening at Congregation Kol Ami, please visit our website at kol-ami.org. That's kol-ami.org. You can register for all of our online programs, and you must register to receive a Zoom link. And while you are there, please consider making a donation to support our sacred community. We really do rely on your support to offer our wide array of programs and services that we bring to you at no cost. Thank you once again. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Pesach Sameach.
Thank you, Peter. And again, thank you for sponsoring tonight's service in honor of the memory of your father, Sam Mackler, whose yahrzeit occurs this week, and for all you do for us at Kol Ami. The Aleinu L'Shabeach prayer reminds us about the hope of the world redeemed, themes that we talk a lot about at Passover. I want to share this story from Tractate Sanhedrin. The rabbis tell a story about Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi, who, when walking near the cave of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in Sfat, in the northernmost part of Israel, the rabbi met the prophet Elijah. Knowing that Elijah was the herald of the Messiah, he asked Elijah when would the Messiah come. Elijah responded by saying he should ask the Messiah himself, who could be found sitting among the poor at the gate of the city. In order to discern the messianic, to see the potential for the redemption of the world, we have to look at the faces of the poor and stare into their eyes, Judaism teaches. By responding to the poor in our midst, we help foster the repair of our world. Poverty is not just poverty of food and resources, it is also poverty of the spirit. And so we pray on that day, may God's name and God's realm be one, and may that redemption come soon and speedily in our time. And together we say, Amen. On this Shabbat, we at Kol Ami are observing yahrzeits of Esther Mollis Roberts, mother of Shirley Roberts, Elaine Ann Newman, wife of Chuck Pace, Walter Hubert, father of Walter Hubert, Johanna Schomburg, mother of Henry Schomburg and mother-in-law of Francis Singh, Fred Frank, brother of Martin Frank, Sam Mackler, father of Peter Mackler, David Benson Rollins, grandfather of Evan Rollins, Beth Daniels, aunt of Sam Fibish DeWitt, Manny Karbelnik, uncle of Steve Karbelnik, Hilary Blumfeld, wife of Regina Gongol, Manny Shore, father of Johanna Shore, Grace Carey, mother of Deborah Vitowski, Monroe Weinberger, brother of Richard Weinberger, Phyllis Quadler, cousin of Erwin Alexander, Israel Irving Margolin, uncle of Ricky Bander, Harold Weinberger, father of Richard Weinberger, Maurice White, uncle of Jane Drucker. And we've been reciting Kaddish in our congregation for Rabbi Richard Leviton, Murray Levine, Luke Thornton, Chantal Legberg, Edward Wolf Salzberg, Lenny Schulman, Rebecca Alexander, Robert Kent, Orlando Castorina, Shirley Glantz, Carol Reback, Andre Lubachenko, Marcy Anderson Lane, Michael Wood, Lori Glickman, Joan Selvin, Jean Rogalski, Patty Weinbar, Adair Faust, Angel Samuels, Cecile Sommerfeld, Marcia Sherman, Desiderio Pacheco, Ruth Kendall, Margaret Gohari, Jeffrey Blank, Roberto Martinez, Robert Weems, Adele Habibi, Sarah Klein, Francis Schiff, Lynn Ehrlich McCauley, Muriel Steicher, Marie Cecilia Ruvo, Ava Weinberger, Sandra Smith, Jack Ader, Esther Richmond, Mary Wilson, Josh Markowitz, Vincent Gabriel, Steve Boardman, Fred Michaels, Claude Casolino, Jeb Stewart Robertson, and Barbara Rubin. And wherever you are, if there are those who have died at this season or in years past, and you would like to add their name to our prayers, if you would say their name aloud or write it in the chat on Facebook and YouTube, so that we can mingle these precious memories of our loved ones. Page 598, we recite the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah. V'yamad divrach yirutei v'yamlich machutei. V'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Bagala v'yizman kariv v'yamru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach le'olam olamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah barichum. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Damiran v'yamah v'yimru amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'romav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'kol yeshvei Tirel v'yimru amen. May the one who teaches peace in the highest of heavens help us to teach peace here on earth with one another and grant eternal peace to those who have died. And together let us say, Amen. Our closing song tonight can be found in our prayer book on page 647, Ozi v'zimrat Yah, words from Exodus chapter 15, which is again the song of the sea, the song that Moses wrote and that the children of Israel danced to, and Miriam led them in song. Light as we join together. Ozi v'zimrat Yah v'yehi Yeshua. Ozi v'zimrat Yah v'yehi Yeshua. Ozi v'zimrat Yah v'yehi Yeshua. V'yehi v'zimrat Yah v'yehi Yeshua. Ozi v'zimrat Yah v'yehi Yeshua. Ozi v'zimrat Yah v'yehi Yeshua.
Ozi v'zimrat Yah v'yehi Lishua. My strength in balance with the song of God will be my salvation. This line that we just sang comes from the Song of the Sea, the part of Exodus when we are literally making the exodus from Egypt. It is part of the song, and it teaches us, it reminds us that there is a balance between our strength and our relationship with the divine. This Shabbat, this Pesach, may you find your balance between your personal observance and your communal observance, your family near and far, and may you have a Shabbat Shalom and a Chag Sameach from all of us here in West Hollywood, California. Shabbat Shalom.